Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to see plan A in management of dehydration. In plan A, we have the three rules. The three rules in managing diarrhea. And then rule number 1 is that you have to give more fluid. Give more fluid than you give before to prevent dehydration. And then what are those fluids which you are supposed to give frequently? Number 1 is plain water. Plain water. This one you can give as much as the baby can take. You give oral salts, that is ORS, oral rehydration solution, and then you give food-based fluid, and then these fluids are soup, rice water, porridge, then yogurt drinks. The amount of ORS to be given is depending on the age of the baby. Children below 2 years, you give 50 to 100 ml per loose motion. And then children above 2 years, you give 100 to 200 ml per loose motion. And then if an adult, you give so long as the person can take. The person can take. If the child vomits, you wait for 10 minutes and then you give another ORS, and it should be given in a small or frequent sip from the cup. Rule number 2, give the baby food to prevent malnutrition. If the baby is breastfeeding, continue breastfeeding. And if the baby is not breastfeeding, you give the usual milk. If the child is 6 months and above or is now taking food, you need to give this food. Give these foods. And those food are cereal or starchy food. And then you need to mix them, if possible, with the pulses, vegetables, meat, or fish. Then you can also add 2 teaspoonfuls of vegetable oil in each serving. Give fresh prepared food and juice that is made from home. Freshly prepared food. You can also give smashed banana to provide potassium. Then you need to increase in the frequency of feeding at least 6 times. At least 6 times in a day. And then you need to continue with this feeding up to 2 weeks when the diarrhea has stopped. Then rule number 3, you need to take the baby to the health facility if the baby is not improving. And in 3 days, if the baby is developing any of the following signs, you need to take the baby back to the unit or health center. Now, one, if the baby is having many loose stool, if the patient is repeatedly vomiting, you know this one is profuse vomiting. And then, if the patient is going into thirst when you also observing it, you give it water, baby takes, you give this, and it is frequently happening, which means the baby is dehydrated now. And then if the patient is not eating or drinking poorly, remember in our assessment, and then if there's fever, because you need to check for any other disease also like malaria, meningitis, measles, all those ones, maybe it's the cause of. And then if there's blood in the stool, NB, you mark this. NB, any child which is dilating should be given ORS. If the child is managed with plan B or C, should also be given ORS, oral rehydration. And then ORS should be given to all the children having diarrhea. So that is all. In summary, plan A in management of diarrhea and dehydration. We said it has 3 rules. Rule number 1, you have to give more fluid than you used to give before. And those fluids are plain water, oral salts, food, base fluid, that is soup, rice, water, and then the amount of ORS to be given depending on the age. Below 2 years, 50 mils to 100 mils per loose motion, and then above 2 years you can give 100 to 200 per loose motion, and then in adult you can give as long as the patient can take. And then rule number 2, you have to give the baby food to prevent malnutrition. That's why you need to continue breastfeeding, and if the baby is not breastfeeding, you continue with the other milk, and then give the fluid to the baby, and then give this food, the cereal or starchy food, and then add some pulses, vegetables and meat or fish if possible. Then add 2 teaspoonful of vegetable oil in each and every serving. Then give fresh prepared food from home and juice if you can afford. And then give smashed bananas to provide potassium. Increased in the frequency of giving food at least 6 times. And then rule number 3, take the baby to the health center if the following signs occurs: many loose stool, that is diarrhea increases, repeated vomiting, that is profusely vomiting, and then marked thirst, and then not able to eat or drink properly. If the patient is having fever, and then if the blood is in the stool. So ORS should be given to everyone who is diuretic. And then any child which has been managed with plan B or C should be given ORS. That is all. If you get any ball out of this video, please subscribe and see you in the next one.